Hola amigos, Javier here for Hum the Earth. Signing in from beautiful town of Calarca in Quindio. Currently staying in the city of Armenia over there. As you can see, Calarca has some old buildings which Armenia does not because of an earthquake. Because of the seismic activity in the area, which is one of the cons of having beautiful mountains in the backdrop to where you live. But one of the pros is getting to climb those mountains and enjoy some of the beautiful scenery of the region around you. And by the way, if you were left intrigued with Calarca, I've made a full separate video of this town. You might notice a line of trucks over there. That's because the highway is closed. I was actually planning on taking a bus to Cajaramaca today, but I couldn't because the highway is closed. Which sucks for everyone trying to get to Ibagué or Bogota, but kind of nice for us. So I just asked a woman that was walking her dog along the highway if it was safe to walk up here, which I recommend you do whenever you're in Colombia and going somewhere where you're going to be really isolated, which we are right now, especially without the traffic, because yeah, Colombia is not the most well-off country. That was good to know. So now we can enjoy ourselves. Not that I wasn't going to enjoy myself, but a bit more of a carefree attitude now. Although my eyes and my ears will still be open for sure. So this in the distance here is Armenia, the bigger city, and this church here, that's Calarca, which is pretty close to Armenia, but seems further because, oh, a cyclist startled me there. Yeah, so it's actually pretty close, but you have to go down through like the valley, so you go down like a canyon and back up, so easier to take the bus to go to Calarca. And I guess I never actually mentioned why the highway was closed. This is not because of maintenance. It is more to do with the rainy season and landslides. I've actually seen a few landslides visiting some of the towns here in Quindio. I haven't seen this one. I don't think we'll see it. I think it's actually on the other side of Cajaramaca, closer to Ibagué. But as a result, the highway here has been closed for several days. It's now Tuesday, and it was closed since Friday. Supposed to be open yesterday, but well, that's what I had heard. but I kind of figured that was probably optimistic. So, tried my luck on Tuesday, and no dice. Or I guess partially closed, because I can hear trucks going on the other side of the highway, the part coming into Armenia. But the part going out to Cajamarca, Ibagué, and Bogota is closed today. Which makes for some nice hiking, so that y'all can enjoy some nice views while I tell you about the safety in the city of Armenia. So I've been living in Armenia for a month now, and this is what it looked like. Which isn't a typical look for people in Armenia. There's not that many expats in the city. There are some, but they are mostly in the northern part of the city, which is kind of the fancier, aka more expensive part of the city, and where you have a higher presence of police officers. And that's where you have like more expensive restaurants, more expensive fancy apartments, Parque de la Vida, so some of the attractions, the university, etc. So that's a safer part of the city. I haven't spent that much time there in general. My experience is more in the kind of south central part of the city, close to the bus terminal, which is where I was living, because I wanted to check out a lot of the towns in Quindio, which I have to say the towns feel safer than the city, and that's, sounds obvious. That's often the case when you're traveling to kind of developing countries. Usually kind of homeless people and criminals and stuff tend to gravitate towards cities because there's more anonymity, and especially here in Quindio in the towns, usually like coffee making towns in the mountains, and have a cooler climate, so less favorable for being homeless. But I did have a scary encounter in a place I wasn't expecting it, in the town of Hinova, which is another beautiful coffee town that I still recommend you visit. Anyways, I was approached in a kind of desolate area with someone with kind of bad energy, and I kind of tried to separate myself from him, and then he kind of started kind of chasing me, and I ran down the mountain, and I managed to get away. And, I'm not actually sure he wanted to rob me or anything, but I didn't want to take any chances. And somewhat surprisingly, I've only had one similar encounter in Armenia, very close to my hotel, near the Mirador La Secreta, which is a bus stop with a view over kind of the valley next to Armenia. A guy approached me, and then he asked me if I was armed, and I told him, I'm not going to tell you if I am or not. And then he was this is a very dangerous area, and he was very close to me and just had weird energy, but he didn't actually, he was fairly clean and well dressed. He wasn't didn't seem homeless. Nice view there of the river. And he had a phone in his hand, this kind of small white Samsung smartphone. And then he puts it up to his ear, and he says, Padre, tiene un turista aquí al mirador, which is, Father, there's a tourist here at the lookout. Which immediately made me very afraid that he was calling in people to jump me or help him rob me or something, which was weird because I was pretty close to the actual bus stop and the viewpoint, which it's fairly crowded, but again, it's pretty kind of a sketchy part of the city anyways. But then as he's talking on the phone, I see that the phone doesn't actually have like a real screen. It's like a placeholder plastic, so it's not actually a real phone. It's some kind of like demo they use in the stores that I guess maybe someone stole thinking it was a real phone. But yeah, anyways, that was pretty strange. I just walked away from him and he let me go. So that was, I guess, maybe the most heart-pounding encounter I've had in Armenia. And I mean, I've definitely had a lot of others, like a lot of homeless people coming up to you asking for money. And I've had quite a few people that were like high on drugs, like come at me kind of crazy, but which just can be potentially dangerous. But for the most part, I think these people are pretty easy to outrun, which in my opinion is always the correct strategy, is running away. Even if you think you could beat someone up, I mean, it's not worth the risk. You could get hurt, and also there could be more people, or you could have a knife, or, you know, anyways. Yeah, and there is quite a sizable population of, you know, homeless people that are addicted to drugs and stuff. One guy on the street told me that Armenia was the like the best place in Colombia for drug tourism, that people would come, like drug addicts would come from all over the country here just to buy drugs for cheap and yeah, live that life, I guess. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, it seems believable with the amount of drug addicts you see close to where I was living. I mean, almost every time getting out, you really have to be on your toes, looking around you, being aware of your environment. I was going to say every time you go out is risky, but maybe that's a bit exaggerating. So, definitely not the safest place in Colombia, I would say Armenia. Again, the northern part seems safer. I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. But yeah, almost surely safer. And compared to other places in Colombia, probably a bit safer than Villavicencio, where I was robbed. I made a video about that. It's also on the channel. About that whole experience. It was pretty scary. And I would say maybe equivalent to Ibagué, which is another city nearby that also has a similar kind of high amount of homeless drug addicts, which are not really the people I'm afraid of, is more kind of the young men with those mullet haircuts and tattoos. I mean, some people are maybe laughing when I say that, because I'm sure a lot of them like that look or want to look like a bad boy, but are not really. But anyways, those are the people that tense me up the most, I would say. There definitely are some here, even some in Calarca. And you kind of see them a little bit everywhere. But yeah, those are gangs of young men, is I think what you want to avoid the most. Scares me more than homeless people for sure. And compared to like Medellin, Bogota, Cartagena, kind of hard to say safety-wise, but because I've only spent like a few days in Bogota recently, and when I was in Bogota, definitely got the impression from people that are telling me to be careful that it was pretty dangerous, and even that crime was targeted to tourists. And I haven't been to Medellin and Cartagena in like 4 years, but I do follow some Facebook groups of those cities, of expats living in those cities, and those groups, at least, you know, might be anecdotal evidence, but definitely give the impression that crime is on the rise. Well, I almost know for a fact that crime's on the rise in Colombia in the last few years. But that more specifically, there seems to be a kind of cottage industry of robbing foreigners. So the neighborhoods that kind of used to be safe have more like criminals that are really like kind of professional and have all these schemes and ways of robbing you on the street, which is something I don't think you really have in Armenia. So in my estimation, Armenia a little bit safer than Medellin, Bogota, Cartagena, but more dangerous than some of these safer places, Pereira and Manizales, which are higher altitude and colder, so which makes them safer. I've also been recently to Boyacá, which was super safe. I never felt in danger there once, and I was hiking alone in most of the departments. So yeah, when life gives you lemons, you gotta make lemonade. I was kind of bummed that the road to Calarcá was closed, but this has ended up making it the most enjoyable it could be to hike up here and get these amazing views. So yeah, pretty happy about how things turned out. Surprised to see so many people living like on stilted houses on the side of the mountains here. It seems to me, in the snap of the finger, potentially in the night, you, your family, and all your belongings could be tumbling down the mountain. But I don't know. I'm no engineer, but a lot of these places don't seem the safest. So according to Maps.me, this area here is called Alto el Oasis. And it is pretty sweet. Although I did kind of think I was smelling, I mean, I might have been imagining it, but like cannabis or something, which makes me not want to stick around. Because if that is the case, the type of danger definitely wouldn't be homeless people. Yeah, it is beautiful out here. I kind of want to see if the wind pushes these clouds away so I can see more. I hope you enjoyed that video. I have many more videos of Armenia, including the beautiful surrounding towns and natural areas, as well as the other towns and city in the Colombian Coffee Triangle like Pereira and its surrounding municipalities, and Ibagué, as well as Boyacá. And you can find playlists of all those videos in the description below this video, including a playlist of the time that I bicycled through Colombia. And if you'd like to follow my continuing adventures through Colombia and beyond, you can click on the red subscribe button and click on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one.